Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Flux Motorsport TV. It's Thursday the 10th of December and you're joining me this evening for our regular weekly event, our weekly Thursday event at 8 PM for our GT1 Championship. Like I said, this is proudly sponsored by Flux Motorsport, as are all our weekly events that are live broadcast on YouTube, brought to you by our wonderful media team which do a wonderful job. I'm your host this evening, Lucky 2000, like I said, and I'll be bringing tonight's commentary. Currently we are up to round 7, or race 7 as some of the guys call it, at Sakitto, and we are firmly in winter here in Japan at the Sakitto circuit. Now moved firmly into our winter period here, and that's definitely being reflected out there on track temperatures today. The guys currently being facing with only an 8-degree ambient temperature, so pretty nippy out there today, and I don't suspect it's going to be getting any warmer. We have checked the weather reports. There is going to be a flickering of cloud cover throughout the day, but we are hoping that there is no rain, so fingers crossed we won't see any rain today. Most of the guys here have been running on the soft tyres throughout the qualifying session and practice sessions so far, and as you can see we're on board here with the yellow and white livery of Martin, or Jelmer, as we all know him internally. Jelmer's getting what looks like seems to be hot laps in what the 135 seems to be the order of the day for race pace, which Jelmer's currently set in as he goes a little bit wide there. But certainly race pace we do expect to be in the 135s, probably dropping off a little bit as we get towards the back end of our race. So what we're up to. Currently we are, like I said, in round 7 in our standings, and what does that mean for our drivers out there today? So we do have 1 or 2 drivers missing, but our standings table, as we look at it coming into round 7, is with our fan favourite who's just gone into the pit lane there, which is Linga Bazinga, and Linga Bazinga currently sat there in first spot with 201 points. Now Linga Bazinga, just if you weren't aware and you are new to the GT1 Championship, has been having a storming season so far, and could potentially win this championship in the penultimate round here at Sakitto. So this is actually for the championship title. This would be a first, I believe, for the GT1s in having a champion that is not Bruce Law. So this is going to be extremely interesting to see whether Linga Bazinga can secure this tonight. I think technically all he's going to do is actually beat the guy that's just behind him on the grid in second place, in the standings in second place, which is Jack de Mendes, who is just come to here on track, currently in 7th place on our grid there, just improving his best lap delta there as you see him coming across the line into that tight and tricky right-hander into turn 1. See him to get a decent line, a good exit there. So Jack in the 27, red and white livery there, Toyota, popular choice but limited availability for the SO Ultron liveries there. 27, 28 and 29, which I believe are all taken up. Not surprising when we learn exactly how much power these things have got once you're going toe to toe. So like I said, Jack is our main rival in second place. Bruce Law, who we were expecting potentially may have been absent tonight, so we were struggling to actually get to the venue on time. But fortunately has managed to make it, manage to get into qualifying, and has got himself all buttoned up and ready for the race and out to go, weighed in, etc. So Bruce will be hoping to try and close some of that gap between himself and Jack de Mendes, potentially take another race win, as we see Jack going wide there and letting Bruce through. Just go over to Bruce as you see him coming through. So Bruce with his lights on there. And that does normally indicate that a driver is on a hot lap when they've got the lights on like that. So, and he does look like he's pushing as he comes through 130R there. Quick corner, that left-hander, as he chucks the car well over to the left-hand side, even getting right on the edge of the track limits there as he comes through. And managing to keep that Panos fully poised through that corner. Difficult to do. The car wants to upset the weight and then balance the car. And if you've not got your anti-roll bars right on that section, it can bite you. But Bruce struggling there with turn 1, so turn 1 proving like it is a little bit difficult. You do have to be careful as we're coming into that section. So just coming back to our standings table, we've got just behind Bruce Law in third on the grid is Dirk Diggler. Dirk Diggler coming in just behind Bruce with 96 points. And then just shortly after that, in 5th place, we have Jelmer. So Jelmer, really a recent entry into this championship, but already in 5th place. And the reason for that, if you're looking at the standings table and sat on YouTube and scratching your heads wondering why, it's because our reserve drivers, we do actually allow them to accrue points within our championship, and should that reserve seat become a permanent seat, then they do retain those points and carry those over. So it does look like he's coming into the championship with a whole bag of points, and I can show you he's not stolen. He hasn't broke into anybody's house and stole those points. He's actually earned them all in his own right, so they're all his and he can bring them with him. So just behind Jalmer on the grid, we've got Snelling Bongo, so our other driver from the Netherlands. Snelling Bongo is able to set a blisteringly fast lap time in the CLK, as we've seen over the last couple of races. Pole positions are not uncommon for him, and neither are fastest laps during the race. Does seem to be an issue with his tyres though, so potentially he's going to have a word with the pit crew or even the tyre supplier here, because it does look like he's struggling compared to the other guys with degradation, or particularly overheating, I think it is for Snelling Bongo here with those tyres. So we'll try and keep an eye on Snelling Bongo throughout the race, see what those lap times are coming out at, and see whether he's able to push that envelope again today. So behind Snelling Bongo, apologies, are both the ledges. So currently DJ and 074, as we said, the family duo here. DJ just managing to creep in front of 074 Ledger over the last couple of races, but it is neck and neck. There's just a couple of points in it, and Murphy sat directly behind both these Ledges. So these guys currently spread out on our grid. DJ, which is currently a little higher up in our table than his old man, sat in 4th, and then Senior Ledger, or 074 Ledger, is sat down in 9th place. So a little bit of difference here, and I do think that is from understanding what these guys were doing in a free practice. That 074, that is about roughly what he should be expecting as his qualifying time. So a little bit of disparity opening up here towards the end of the season between both family members there. So but have stock neck and neck with each other, literally, not just in the championship standings, but race throughout the race as well, literally bumper to bumper throughout. So Murphy, the guy just behind these, in 9th place in our championship. Murphy coming in with 70 points, so just a couple of points behind DJ Ledger, and just above Immortalis in 10th with 64 points. In 11th spot is Stoltz, who Stoltz could not make it with us today. Stoltz coming up towards the back of the grid in 11th with 55 points, as can't Luke, so Luke can't be here with us today, who's in 12 points. But Old Smokey will form up the back of the grid there, or back of the standings table, with 5 points. So other drivers that we've got out with us today is 1 or 2 new drivers. So in addition to Jalmer, we have had Mays join us. So Mays in the, here we go, black in the black livery, number 45 Gerstenfelder 1. So as you can see him in the behind the black livery there of, I believe, is Dirk Diggler's panels, as we see Mays going round there. So just getting to grips and having to get that reset button applied there, which he's going to have to be careful of drivers coming through. I think that's Jack, it is indeed Jack de Menzes just coming through there and losing it. So lights are off and he's just trying to get damage limitation now as he picks up a lot of ground and sand and grit through coming through that gravel trap. So that's going to be bouncing its way through the underside of that car and affecting his ability to push that even further. Currently in 8th now, Jack, so he want to try and get himself further up that grid. Technically it is still possible that Jack could win the championship here, but there would have to be a calamity of errors on Linger's part, disconnections, and an out-and-out race win, I think, for Jack, for him to be able to close that gap completely up. So, however, from where we are currently, 8th on our grid, Jack's a far cry from that, from being able to close that gap up at the moment. But we do have 5 minutes left in qualifying. It's not over till it's over. So we'll run down our order today. Currently we've got Linger Bazinga, again as we'd expect at the top, consistent performer throughout this championship, and we expect him to do well again here. And is that Dirk going round in the background? I think it potentially was. or the black car of Mays there. Linga Bazinga comes across the line. So 1:32.7s for Linga Bazinga. Not as quick that lap. So potentially he's going to be on a cold lap, and I think we've just had an exit there from the driver. So it looks like we've lost the driver there, unfortunately. Second on our grid currently Snarling Bongo. So there we go, that lap time coming in from Snarling Bongo. Blistering lap times there. 1:33.4s, not quite cracking the 1:33s. And it looks like it is Dirk Diggler that we've lost, so unfortunately Dirk Diggler going round there, and potentially it was that Black Larue, the panels that we saw really struggling on the exit there of Spoon. So just behind Snarling Bongo we have Jelma working his way up to third now, so that is a Dutch 1, 2, 3 on our GT1 grid. The Dutch lads really loving the GT1s and showing how potentially how well they're going to do in this championship. Potentially sharing tips and probably have a close working relationship with each other in each other's garages. So, and if that makes these guys faster, then why not go with it and learn what you can. Just behind that, we've got Immortalis. So Immortalis we know can be quick in the Cipernol CLK here. Not managing to get quite the laps in today. Did put some decent times in an FP1, but isn't seeming to get quite under that at the moment. 1:33.9 is about as fast as he can get. Coming in similar times, like we said, DJ Ledger, obviously a late driver to this championship, didn't start with the championship, so it is reflected in his points here, but certainly made a good way up that standings table, managing to get firmly mid-pack out the drivers that we've got there. Not unfamiliar with the odd mistake, but certainly getting more consistent as I think as he gets through the championships, and I think we've just got a matter of time before we seem to start to take some podiums and start to really get some results here at Flux Motorsport. So let's go over to Bruce Law now. Bruce Law does not like he's got his lights on as he comes round that downhill double right hand there. Tight section this is, you come through Sakitto, as you come through this back section onto Spoon. If the car suspension is not set right here, or if your anti-roll bar isn't just so, car does want to kick out. There's a lot of elevation changes, and more importantly a lot of unbalanced weight changes and negative camber from the corners. So Bruce Law just being affected from that there, as I said it then. So the back of that panel's twitching out there. Potentially on cold tyres though, so with his lights off, so he's going to be coming through to try and get another quick lap in here. So let's just stay with Bruce, see what Bruce can do here. A little bit of a underperformance here really in 7th place for Bruce, but it does look like that he's potentially picked up a little bit of damage, and again not a quick lap there, so no lights at this stage though. So potentially he's just running tyres in, trying to get the measure of the mark of the car for how it's going to perform under different weight or track conditions. But it does look like he's going to be starting a little bit further back down our grid here. So Murphy making his way back up to 6th, so he's jumped a couple of positions during our qualifying session. He's jumped up to a 1:33.9, so certainly running up there with some of our front runners now, Snarling Bongo and Jelma and Immortalis, the likes of. So 2nd to 6th now do look very, very close on our grid. 2nd to 7th even, with a 1:34 being put in from Jack, who's currently taking a bit of a respite in the pit to potentially get his pit strategy sorted. And I think that is that maze that we see in the background just behind Murphy there. It's not, apologies, that must be Jelma then that we've got in the background. I believe it is. So Jelma coming across the line with Murphy in front now. No improvement for Murphy, and no improvement for Jelma as we come through again. So 30 seconds remaining in our qualifying session. Not too long to go now. So if you are just joining us here at Flux Motorsport, and this is your first time watching our YouTube videos, if you are enjoying our commentary, or if you are enjoying the close racing action that we love to bring to you here, then please do hit like and subscribe on our videos, and do hit the bell notification icon just to make sure that you get notified of when we go live streaming. It's never quite the same experience when it's not live, so do try and make sure that you tune in for that. If you are looking to get racing, and racing is your thing and watching's not your thing, and you want to get in with these guys and in on the action, you can do that by going to our website at FluxMotorsport.com, and if you hit the driver sign up button, that will take you through to our Discord application server, and that's where we communicate with all our drivers and arrange all our events and races. So these guys have just come over the timing line and got into the final countdown of qualifying now. Just a tick down as we come through. So Linga Bazinga looks like he's now done and he's qualified first. But we've just seen, oh, and he's that Jelmer just twitching a little bit there coming out of spin. It did look like we had a car going off there into spin before him, but I think that driver started better of it and returned to pit lane just to not affect Jelmer behind him. So Jelmer looks like he is on a quick lap here, despite no lights on. Does look like he's trying to push that car, and you can usually tell from the engine noises there as he comes screaming through the last corner down onto the pit straight. 133.5 we're looking at beat, and not this time, but we do see some theatrics as we come across the line. So that's going to be it for our qualifying session, as Jelmer is our last one across the line. So as we give you that rundown of the order, it's Linga Bazinga in first place, Snarling Bongo in second place with a 133.4. Jelmer, as we said, just coming through there in a third place with a 133.5. Immortalis following up for fourth place. Again, all the CLKs look like they're getting it all the way up there to the top, and DJ Legend pushing Murphy down a spot there for sixth spot and managing to creep into fifth place. So Murphy, the first of the bunch of the Toyotas, directly followed by his counterpart Jack Dementis in seventh place. Bruce Law, the only Panos that I think managed to make it into this through this qualifying session into the race, but Amaze, our new runner, just coming in the black Gerstenfelder CLK in ninth. Not a bad start from him. Making the jump on 074, Ledger, who comes in 10th place. Old Smoky in 11th place, and Dirt Diggler looked like he did just get back into the lobby. So we do have another Panos just joining us here, so that's pleasing to see. So just running through now into our countdown timing session. We'll just take a couple of minute break here and be back with you for our race start. Hi, welcome back to Flux Motorsport. You're back with Lecky_2000, your host for your GT1 championship this Thursday evening. So as I said, we've just come back from our qualifying session. If you are just joining us, just for the last 30 seconds as the guys get their setups and get their tyre pressures and whatnot right, ready for the race and ready to go for a 45-minute rundown here around the mountainside around Sakitto in Japan. So as we just get into our session here, just try and get out with the guys on grid as they're just lining up and just coming into the final countdown. So we should be getting ready for the timing board coming on now. Dark skies we see here at Sakitto, Japan today. 13 degrees track temperature. So these guys will be on the soft tyres and potentially looking to try and go the duration without a pit stop. So any pit stops I think we find here are going to be damage related, as we are under starters orders and they are underway. We are go for round 7 at Sakitto, and it looks like Snelling Bongo gets a straight start on the inside line. Just coming into turn 1 though, Snelling Bongo just getting it, forcing Linga Bazinga onto the outside line there. Snelling Bongo looks like he's got it, and that's Immortalis round into turn 1. So as he comes back onto track, we see a little bit of action going in there. Is that DJ Leggy caught up in it? Looks like one of the Toyotas, and DJ Leggy running Jack off the road there. So Jack, it's going to be a certain inquiry from Jack now. There's that potential dangerous blocking manoeuvres there as we jump back over to our front runners. So Snelling Bongo managing to maintain first place, but a definite hectic first section here as we come through into Degner corner as it is here, and hard into the second part of Degner as they come through towards the hairpin now, or what was the old hairpin, into 200R. And Snelling Bongo out in first, Linga Bazinga in second, and Murphy's managed to get his way up from 6th place, 7th place into 3rd spot now. So Murphy will be getting the jump there on Immortalis dropping back down to 4th spot, and Jelmer managing to get all the way up to 5th spot. So Jelmer managing to pull a little bit of that damage limitation back there, and is that Immortalis that we see now just in front? It is Immortalis getting right up onto the back of Murphy now, coming through into this huge right hand section at 130R. So a little bit of brake, a little bit of let off as Murphy runs wide out in front. So It gets a little bit sketchy coming back on track as well, just about cuts in front of Immortalis, but that does mean Immortalis is going to get a run down the outside here as they come through the casino section, that last curve, and he thinks better of it. He's still in the draft, so the legs on the Toyota, they're proving too much for the CLK. Immortalis sits back in the draft, and it looks like Mays is coming, so our first pit stop of the day is Mays coming in 10th place, and 074 Leggy just behind him, Jack just behind that, so 3 pit stops coming into what is a lap 2 now. So we'll go back on board with our leaders, Snarling Bongo and Linga Bazinga, a Dutch battle out here in front. And it does look like Murphy's managing to keep pace, but he's dropping back a little bit from these two now. Less than a second in it between first and second place as we come once again into Degner corners, curves through under that bridge section and into this turbulent section over the crest, coming into Stream Curve. So Murphy and Immortalis both still battling out on track. I'll give you a rundown on our grid now. We've got Jalmer in 5th, Old Smokey managing to make his way up to 6th from all the way back down there. Really great. So Old Smokey making great leaps and bounds there. DJ Leggy's got pushed all the way back down to 7th spot, and looks like he's picked up quite a bit of damage there on the front and the back of that CLK. So he is going to be kicking himself for that one after doing so well in qualifying. And like I said, potentially one for the stewards' inquiries there. Dirt Diggler just behind that, so Dirt Diggler did qualify last in our grid, making up a few spots, and it looks like Bruce Law's been involved in the mishap that was involved in lap 1 there. So Bruce Law dropping it all the way back down to 9th. Our back markers looks like they've started to come out of the pits now, with Mays and Leggy just coming through into the spoon section now. Jack looking like he's suffered the worst from that pit stop. So Linga Bazinga still out, trailing Starling Bongo on lap 3. Almost 4 minutes gone of this round 7 race session of GT1s, and an all-out action-packed start here. Are in the dark skies of Sakitto, or Suzuka, if you might want to call it in Japan, as for obvious reasons we're not allowed to call it Suzuka. And it is a slightly different layout from that track, so it does require slightly different setups and different demands from our drivers. Immortalis looking like he's made a move on Murphy. The Murphy looking like he's dropped back down our grid. It's just as we digress though, so Murphy's dropped his way back down to 5th, and Immortalis and Jelmer making their way through. Minor mistake though from Murphy. Doesn't look like he's dropped too far back down that order, just a couple of spots. So again, the Toyota going to be the worst of the cars in category here for feeling that upset of weight balance around Sakitto, and not only that, the lack of wing, as we know that it's not got a front wing on that, as doesn't the Ferrari, I believe, but doesn't seem to affect the Ferrari quite as much, and we don't see many Ferraris running in this category, primarily because they're so twitchy at the back. But Immortalis sticking it here, coming through Casino under the bridge. It does look like Jalmer's getting that gap closed up just behind him though, and Murphy's not out the distance yet, so all these guys in a second as Jalmer starts to make a move, tries to take a look around the outside. That's hoping to shove Immortalis through there and make him run wide on the second apex of the first corner there. And Murphy, you saw just in the background, just running a little wide there, so Murphy's going to have to drop back there, but he does benefit from having a 2-car draft in front of him, as we see Old Smokey and Dirt Diggler forming up this pack. So potentially this is going to be a 5-horse race, and Jalmer going round there. Oh, that's really unfortunate as they come through that anti-banked curve section through Dunlop. That is really upsetting for Jalmer. So Jalmer really struggling here after setting a good qualifying pace, 3rd in qualifying for Jalmer, but back down to 8th on our grid now, and that has allowed Bruce to make his way up past Jalmer to try and stay on board with where all the action is between 6th and 10th place on our grid now. So Bruce has been making moves, and he's got Dirk Diggler next in his sights. 1:39's on a lap time from Bruce, so not the best laps being put out there currently. 1:37's being our current race pace, so the guys really having to fight in the dirty air here, and it robbing at least a couple of seconds a lap from the overall lap times. But Bruce managing to catch up to Dirk now, so that 1.5 second indication mark on the timing board that you see there just coming up, and I believe that's DJ Leggy just behind. That's also come up with the indication for Martin Ficelma. So these guys are all neck and neck and neck here. So just trying on board with DJ Leggy. So obviously showing liveries Jalma and DJ Leggy, but certainly not teammates in this championship, and are similarly battling for position without too much difference in the terms of points in the standings table. So this is going to count for these two, and these are not going to want to give it up. But it does look like Jalma again struggling through the tighter sections of the S's here, and coming into the corners. That car looking like he wants to step out and over rotate, so potentially a diff-related setup difference here, or potentially brakes, as that car wanting to step out as he upsets the weight there. So taking a defensive line though here in front, Jalma trying to stop DJ from getting a move there. As DJ tries to come around the outside, and it looks like contact there, and that does look like a push to pass and a failure to stop from the guy behind. So that's twice in this race that Jalma's been involved in contact, and twice that DJ Leggy looks like he's been the culprit there. So we'll have to try and have a word with our facilities guys here about getting replays involved around at this track, but that would be one perfect for the replays though. And just to say how light or heavy that contact was between those two drivers. But like I said, that is going to make a big difference, and Jalma won't be happy with that. Drop down to 9th on our grid now, Jalma, and that's going to affect his points badly. So both the panels is out on track here as well. So cars seem to be bunching up like buses. They're coming together, or two come at once. It's both what look like teammates in the CLKs, and obviously both the panels is here. So you don't see an awful lot of difference in the straight line speed here, but you will see a difference in driving style, and a slightly tighter corner being taken there on the entrance into what's called the first corner, but is actually two different apexes treated as one corner. It looks like he's taking a slightly tighter, slightly firmer line, but he's actually looking the more stable of the two cars though, as we see Diggler just getting a little bit of nose run there. Looks a little bit of understeer, which the panels does suffer from round, not just this track but all tracks. So I can personally vouch from running GT1s previously and running in the practice sessions regularly with these guys, that the panels eats to its front tyres more than any other car in this class. It does seem to have a little bit more grip in the corners, does seem to be a little bit more balanced, and if you can get your setup right, but does lack a little bit on power then accordingly, but does deliver it better. So a good alternative if you're looking for a different driving experience than the CLK, and can almost be quite as fast on certain tracks. So Dirk Diggler certainly making it work though for him here. Dirk Diggler keeping it well in front of Bruce, and has been doing for consistently the last 2 or 3 laps now. So Dirk Diggler, obviously we know he's not slow in this category, but certainly keeping his nose clean today. Back over to our leaders, we have Snell and Bongo still in first. It looks like Linga Bazinga, we can see him just coming into the into shot there, just in the background. So Linga Bazinga knowing full well that he's working on different setups, as is Jalma at the moment. So all these guys going for different hardware, different wheel setups, potentially a different programming setup on that wheel. So that is going to affect the concentration levels more than anything, about which bits affect what on the car, and how they need to adjust that as the race progresses, and as they lay down heat on the track and start to affect the tyres. So just over 10 minutes gone of our session here. A little rundown of our order. If you're just joining us, like I said, it is our GT1 Championship here at Flux Motorsport, live and being broadcast at the time. This will be coming to you a little bit afterwards, due to some technical difficulties we have with broadcasting on a Thursday. If you are looking to help us with our broadcasting, if you're looking to get involved, maybe not as a driver but at Flux Motorsport as a staff member, we have various positions that are on offer and are available. So we do have positions in our media team, on our commentary team, and in our back office functions. So if it is something that you're looking to get involved in motorsport or e-motorsport, then do certainly come along to our website, jump on our Discord server, and we can show you what opportunities we have available. Again, if you're looking to be a driver, same website, and hit the driver sign up button, and just let us know that you want to be a driver and come and get ready for your evaluation drive. So if you're new to Flux Motorsport and don't know how we operate, we only run clean sim racing lobbies. It is all about simulated driving, authentic, realistic experiences. So we expect these guys to be racing as you would in any given race environment. So back over to 6th and 7th and 8th place now on our grid. It looks like Bruce has managed to push his way past Dirt Diggler. Unfortunately, we didn't see how clean that move or dirty that move was, but knowing Bruce, I suspect that was done with clinical precision. As we see Bruce Law coming on the up to the back of Old Smoky. I believe that is the red and white livery of Old Smoky there, and not Murphy. I think it is, yeah. So Old Smoky and Murphy, again, only 2 seconds between these guys out on track, so not a million miles apart between the Toyotas. As we see that great big Ferris wheel, not currently in operation, I think, at the moment today, but they do try and turn that thing on as we get reduced lighting levels, and what a spectacle it is indeed. Often thought how wonderful it might be to actually watch the top of the race from that Ferris wheel and see if you can get an eagle-eye view of all the cars going around track. I'm sure if you had the money available to you, that's something you could do. Speaking of which, money is something that we are looking for at Flux Motorsport. As we see, I think that's Murphy going around there. It is. So if you are looking to try and help us out, we are a non-profit organisation, and we try and pump as much money physically as we can back into the organisation to try and develop services and bring better prizes, better races, and ultimately better action to you on our YouTube channel. So if you do want to help out with that and do want to get involved in a different way, you can always hit the donate button, or I believe it's called buy us a coffee button on our website if you scroll down. We do understand it's coming close to Christmas, and we are in a difficult period at the moment with the lockdown situation, so please don't give more than what you can afford, and even the smallest amount does help, so we would really appreciate that. So 15 minutes or so gone in our session here. We're just on board with Murphy. Murphy didn't qualify too badly at all, so 6th on our grid, did manage to get all the way up to 4th place, but a couple of minor spins and getting involved with our mid-pack battle here, seeming to have taken its effects on Murphy, and it looks like it's getting a bit twitchy there. As we go on board now with the other Toyota, which is Old Smoky. So Bruce again skipping past yet another car out the watchful eye of the cameras there, and leaving Old Smoky to try and defend against this gaggle of cars, GT1 cars behind him. So doing a great job here, Old Smoky, so far. Didn't qualify very well so on our grid in qualifying, but he certainly seems to have got the handle of that Toyota coming into our race session. So whatever his engineers have done in the pit lane, it certainly worked his magic, and hopefully we're going to see him start to pick up some points in the last couple of rounds of the GT1 Championship, as we see that gentleman there getting wide and Dirk both getting wide on separate parts of the track, inside and outside respectively there. But no change between our mid-pack leaders, but certainly close racing here, as we see all those three cars ripping through into 130R there, and you could hear the engine noise, that panos as it came past. What a glorious sound that is, and a low down torque and rumble like that the panos make. So Linga Bazinga looks like he's getting involved here, as we see the guys coming up to back markers. So is that Snarling Bongo just going past Mays, I believe, at the back? Mays just trying to get out of the way there as Snarling Bongo goes through, obviously trying to observe good etiquette and not get involved in the action, but it is difficult at Sakitto. You get directly behind a driver, even as the driver that's being overtaken, you're immediately in his draft and you've got a boost of speed, and into the next corner you think you can potentially take that position back again. So it's very tempting to try and overdrive a little bit on this track, and it is very, very much a punishing track. We all know the Japanese like to try and make their tracks technical and as interesting as possible, and I think that was Dirk Diggler we saw going round there. It certainly was not Dirk Diggler, it was Mays, I believe it was. Sorry, that was the CLK of Mays going round there. So his first outing with us today, Mays, certainly not the back of pack. So, but yeah, I think he's got a bit of ground to make up on the 1:43 lap time that he is making. So we do hope to see him next week, and hopefully we'll see steady improvements, continual improvements being made by our new driver there. The latest action out on track is still over that mid-pack battle here. So again, back on board with the Toyota of Old Smokey, who's coming up back up to the back of Bruce Law now. So Bruce Law not getting potentially as good a lap in that last lap. We'll just try and take a look at the timing board as Bruce comes across here. So 1:38.3 was his last lap, and 1:38 flat from Old Smokey. So Old Smokey is putting in faster lap times, certainly on the last lap though. But if he can maintain that and try and push for fourth spot and really pick his lefty standing points in the standings up, he's yet to be seen. But Bruce has been dubbed the android or the robot at Flux Motorsport because of his unfaltering style of driving. So sorry, just a couple of technical difficulties there. Try and get our timing board off. So go on board with Immortalis. He looks like he's just coming through the back mark. Yeah, it is Maze in the background there, so he's just made his way past Maze, and he's about 9 seconds or so behind the leader. So not too much in terms of mistakes, I think, from Immortalis after that first a bit of chaos that we had there into lap 1. With a couple of cars running wide and one of the ledges there getting involved in that. So not really putting too much of a foot wrong since that point. And if he sticks it out here, he's got another 10-second gap beyond that to Bruce Law just behind him. 12 laps in from our leader here. We're expecting at least double that in the amount of laps that we see from our guys today. And I don't think the light is fading currently. That is just the weather conditions, but the track temperature is still exceedingly cold, dropping now down to 8 degrees ambient temperature. Isn't too much in terms of wind, which you can get sometimes here at Sakitto, and the wind can really upset the balance of the cars and really take some of the advantage that the Toyota has away from it. So as you see our cameraman just getting a little bit upset there as he tries to follow the silver lit panels there of Bruce Law as he comes through into the start of the Degner section. Fast section this here, so they're heavy on the brakes. He's coming in and quickly off the brakes, trying to throw it in, keep as much momentum into the first apex, and then trail braking, almost letting the car run a little bit on the brakes and come round a little bit to try and get the rotation there. So you don't go off into the gravel on the outside. Great job there doing that by Bruce, and certainly catching it Immortalis. So I think we might actually see Bruce trying to pull that back in now, and Immortalis maybe not with as much of a comfortable lead as he thought he might have initially. Sterling Bongold and Linga Bazinga look to have they've had a track change, so Linga Bazinga has made his way into first place. Again, I think it was a matter of time before Linga Bazinga was going to try and take that position, and it does look like, if things stay as they are, unless something really eventful happens, that the mishap that we've had from Jack Dementes has pretty much secured the championship for Linga Bazinga, who've just gone on board with now. And getting that black and rainbow coloured livery there that we've become very familiar with. Linga Bazinga coming up on the back of, I think that may be Murphy, but certainly one of the red and white liveries of our back magazine there, Jack or Murphy, which are right next to each other on the standings table anyway currently. So Linga coming into this section, 137s, far cry here from what we were seeing in qualifying. 135s were projected race pace from qualifying, but we are seeing only as far down as a 137. I think 137 has been the fastest lap here today, as we just come away from our leaders there, and we've got Old Smokey and DJ Ledger. So DJ Ledger we know can be quick, and we're setting decent lap times in qualifying. Old Smokey less so, but does seem to have found form here, so these could be at it for not just race position, but a little bit of pride here as well after not getting quite the race start qualifying positions that they wanted. And you can see the front of the CLK there of DJ Ledger all twisted up and looking like it's really taking a smack in the face though. Whereas Old Smoky behind, maybe he's running a little bit of a smoother race, taking his time a bit more and trying to pick drivers off through a tortoise and the hare approach. Seems to be working for him here so far. Not setting the best lap times. Let's see what he gets as he comes across the line here. So again, in the 140, 141s even this time, so potentially even being slowed up here by DJ Leggy. And it looks like we've got some further action down on the pack, so it looks like Murphy's just gone past Jelma, so Jelma yet again struggling even further here and dropping back down to 9th place. And that battle's going on just behind these two here. As you see, 074 Leggy coming back into picture though. 074 Leggy looking like he's picking up quite a lot of speed and coming through the back of this pack here with some momentum, so potentially damage of the guys in front, and a pit stop there for Leggy has proven beneficial, and he's letting him get all the legs open, all the taps opened up on the CLK, which I must admit is the only CLK that I will ever entertain driving, because it's in the almost British racing green colours. What a wonderful, glorious livery that is to see. Not so sure about the gold on that Soviet livery car, but certainly, definitely a fan of the racing green colours there. So 074 Leggy again, 8th on our standings, going toe to toe with his son as it is, but not toe to toe today, unfortunately. And one that you can yet another race. I think he did the same last race and just managed to pip him at the post in the last race. So this will be a further family feuds, I think, and you know, a fight over the last spot at the dinner table. Certainly won't be letting that go quite as easily now. I know there's a bit of a gap between these two. So 79 points on our table and 72 points on our table for DJ and 074 Leggy respectively. So that is not going to help 074's chances of trying to catch him going into our last round, but it is still doable here depending on how that pans out. So Dirt Diggle going into the pits there. So is that potentially a recent spin or a conscious decision from Dirt Diggle? Let's see if we can go into the pit lane. It doesn't look like he's picked up too much damage, so potentially is that tyres? It may well be fuel at this stage. It looks like they're putting fuel in the car. Haven't released that fuel pipe at this stage, so it looks like it's potentially massively underfueled. But bear in mind that sometimes Project Cars doesn't always give you the necessary pit information, and the guys in the pit lane don't always reflect whether they're putting tyres on that car. So knowing full well that the tyre degradation on the panels can be particularly tricky to manage, especially around such a twisty course like Sakitto, with such demanding high-speed fast corners through it as well. It was always going to struggle to maintain ultimate race pace throughout the entirety of this race. So Dirt Diggler dropping back down to 8th spot now, and back with his old rival and his old nemesis out on grid, which is not an awful lot in it as he comes back out on track, to be fair, looking at these guys. And it is Murphy in front, just in front of Dirt Diggler there on our leaderboard. So like I said, there's a couple of seconds in it between the guys. I don't believe that is Dirt Diggler that is just behind him. I think there's a car that may have been separating. In fact, it is indeed Dirt Diggler. So Dirt Diggler really closing that gap up now, and whether he can put further pressure on and try and squeeze another position out of that panels here. So just taking a little look forward into our championships, other championships here at Flux Motorsport. As we've said, this is our Thursday championship, our GT1 championship, but we also traditionally run LMP2 championships on 8 PM at Saturday, our GT3 championships 8 PM on Thursday, and our touring car championships on 8 PM at Tuesday. And like I said, that is our traditional 8 PM schedule, which we, like I said, are in currently round 7. Just coming to round 8 at the end of this week, coming with touring cars into round 8 of next week. So still round 7 to go in the LMP2s and GT3s, and I believe GT3s may have already sealed the deal. So make sure you tune into our GT3 race to see who grabs that second spot there in our championship tables. Back over to our GT1 action here. So Dirt Diggler looks like he's being caught here by again the CLK, the black CLK of Linga Bazinga just behind him. Doesn't look like he's quite under blue flag yet, but that will be happening very shortly as Linga Bazinga starts to close that gap even further, and we'll get the one indicator coming up, which we may well see on the info feed from the timing board. So currently our fastest lap, if we just take a little look at our timing board, it's just under the 136, or what was 137, sorry, so 136.3 and a 137 not being broke by anybody else other than Gelman. Now that is very surprising. I was not expecting that. So a real turn up for the Bucks there in terms of out and out pace here in our race, and there is points up for grabs for fastest lap. So if you're unaware of how our standings work and how our points go, there's 35 points for top place, and they cascade down from there all the way down to 14th spot. I think there's no points for 15th spot. Oh, sorry, 16th spot. Sorry. But there is a point for fastest lap, and there is a point for pole position, as we see Dirt Diggler just getting out of the way and observing those blue flag warnings there from our race officials. So yeah, he will pick up a fastest lap if that 136.1 isn't beaten, even if he doesn't manage to finish the race in a decent position, as long as he actually remains in lobby and doesn't quit or get disconnected, then he will stick with that fastest lap time. So just take another look over at Bruce here, just see what Bruce is doing on track again. Bruce has been had his crown challenge really in the GT1s this season, and it looks like potentially after the outcome of this race could be having to hand that over to our blisteringly quick Dutch driver Linga Bazinga. But we was expecting him to be catching it up on Immortalis, and it looks like he's actually got DJ Leggy, or what that could well be Mark, that could be Jelmer in the background just behind. It is indeed Jelmer, so Jelmer just sticking with the pace of Bruce there, taking a little bit too much on the inside of Degn there as they come under the bridge. But certainly he's up and up there for lap times, both these guys putting in the 136s, and as well as Murphy putting in the 136s on the last lap. So guys are capable of getting the lap times up there, as we look like we potentially just lost another driver there. I'm down to 11 now in the lobby with just 15 minutes to go here in our GT1 Championship. Quick rundown of our standings and our order here so far. So Linga Bazinga, after getting just a little bit of a bog down and losing out on the start there to Snarling Bongo, has managed to claw his way back up just under the half-an-hour mark of this race, and managed to maintain throughout, and looks like he's got himself a considerable lead with a 13-second gap on Snarling Bongo. Snarling Bongo did manage to stick with him for the most part and held him off valiantly up until, like I said, around about the halfway mark of this, the half-an-hour mark of this race. But he's currently sat in second place, and does look like potentially coming into the last 15 minutes that it's starting to suffer from overheating of the tyres, or it's just started to let go a little bit now, I feel. Immortalis there, managing to pull that gap into it a little bit, was 10 seconds, has closed down that gap now to around about the 6 second mark. As Immortalis we see there, just coming out the second Degner corner, up into through this, what doesn't look like but quite a steep hill. And again, very undulating. It's not the fact that it's that steep, but it's the fact it's bumpy on the way up that tends to upset the front end balance of the car, and wants to shove you in the grass there on the right hand side. And as we know from doing Sakitto National, that is where the back chicane section is on the other layout of this track. So, but we're not doing that one today. It is all about long straights, quick corners, and heavy braking zones into the odd hairpin. So as we see a little flash of brake lights there from Immortalis, not quite the same flash of brake lights from the Toyota behind though, so maybe the Toyota able to stick a little bit more speed there, and the shape of that car it being a natural more wing shape, just playing into the into that speed setup that it's clearly been designed for. But Immortalis doing okay here, managing to keep a reasonable gap between himself and Murphy, I believe that is behind him. It's not Apologies, I think it is Jack behind him. It is indeed, so my apologies, that is Jack de Menezes in 9th place. So Jack de Menezes running well at the moment, despite having a turbulent start, and Jack will be kicking himself, been doing really well in championship races recently, found a bit of form, and he's been enjoying that limited success that he's had so far. So, but as with racing, and all racing drivers the world over will tell you, it's not about the individual wins and getting bogged down with the individual losses. It's about your overall performance and the overall wins and overall losses. So it's good to get involved and get hyped up and get yourself ready. It's good for confidence, and it's good to ensure that the drivers are going to go hammer and tong and try and really fight for the positions out here. But conversely, there is the other side of it as well. So Bruce currently in 4th place, not managing to catch up to Immortalis. If anything, that gap maintained in 10 seconds, so back down from Linger, Snarling, Immortalis and Bruce, topping out 1, 2, 3 and 4 on the standings at the moment. We have DJ Leggy in 5th, Ultimoka coming up in 6th, the other Toyota of Murphy coming up in 7th spot, Dirty Diggler in 8th, the third Toyota of Jack de Menezes coming up in 9th. Martin Gelmer is currently our fastest lap setter. Well, certainly was the last time I looked at the timing boards. And Gelmer's getting a bit wide there. So looking like he's able to set a really fast lap. But that really fast lap potentially pushing him over into the runoff section there of the first turn, turn 1. As you see Bruce coming up behind him there. So that is Bruce just coming up to potentially lap Gelmer there. Immortalis did get involved in that damage at the start, but it does look like he's come out of it unscathed. The front runners just managed to take 1 or 2 knocks, but not really get too much damage. It was the little bit further back down the grid where most of the action was. The Toyotas of Murphy and Jack looked like they get involved in it. And as we saw, DJ Leggy looking like he potentially went round just after the initial incident, so compounded there by that fact of the initial spin coming into turn 1. So Immortalis, comfortable gap here. Again, let's see if he touches the brakes here. I'm pretty sure you can get this Mercedes round 30 without touching the brakes, but no definite touch of brakes here. So the way he's got that car set up, obviously playing for less aerodynamic properties at top speed and trying to go for overall out and out speed there. Currently holding up 3rd place. Again, consistent drives coming from, or consistent performances coming from Immortalis. When he does get a good drive, always tends to be up there in and around the podium position, if not on it, and will be very conscious that he's a good 8 to 10 seconds away from Bruce in front, and that gap could potentially start to close up at any given point. However, I doubt we'll start to see Bruce make enough of a gain over the rest of this race to really make him too worried. Just going over to the busted up livery, the busted up front end and cracked windscreen. We didn't see that before, so massive cracks across his windscreen there. Let's just try and go on board with DJ Ledge here and just see whether we can get a quick view of his cockpit view. So yeah, very difficult to see, as we can see here. We just get the speedo up as well and get rid of some of the other camera angles. So yeah, you're going to struggle to see in that. I mean, it's not impossible once you get 2 or 3 drivers, or you're really looking for a braking marker that's now been removed because somebody running wide. That's where you can potentially start to get problems creep in as he comes through. Again, little lift off there as you get the engine just bogging down a little bit as he lifts the accelerator off. Comes over the crest, getting ready for the layup to spoon. Now this is a corner you want to lay up nicely, trail braking, let it run and actually drop a gear potentially here, which he does. You hear that gear dropping down, coming on to the throttle easily does it just to not to rotate the car, which he does nicely, and then all the way into this fast section, getting ready for what can only be described as one of the scurriest corners in racing. It's got to be up there with the likes of Eau Rouge at Spa. This little section here for how much bravery you've got to have, and how much you can get away with if you have got the bravery and you have just about got the skill to get that car through. What you can keep momentum there is massive. So, and we'll just go back trackside now with our guys, see if we can get a bit more of a better action of our Toyotas. So our Toyotas, Old Smoky and Murphy, we did have just a couple of second gap between these two guys previously. That's stretched out now to potentially a little bit more than that, up to almost the 20-second mark. Not quite getting to that point at this stage. So our closest battles out on grid, really Snarling Bongo, Immortalis and Bruce Law in second, third and fourth. Nobody within striking distance yet, and actually you can see behind Snarling Bongo, nobody actually even coming into the sprint section yet, so he's got quite a gap behind himself and Immortalis. But again, yet another sterling drive from Linga Bazinga, and still putting those lap times in. So 1:37.2s, which are as low as we've seen today with these track temperatures under these conditions. So I don't think we could have asked much better. Yep, low 1:36s is about all we've mustered today. And knowing full well that they were getting 1:35s in the session before, the guys are going to be scratching their heads a little bit here, just wondering where that additional lap time's coming from. But it won't be too much of a bitter pill to swallow, because it does look like it's affected all drivers. All drivers seeming to not really making any great advantage or capitalise on that particular condition. And it looks like Jalma potentially has gone round again. He is indeed coming to the first corner, and 074 Legia, as we get a good long hard look at our favourite Marshall there. I'm not quite sure why he deserved our attention to track time, but yeah, I think he's just got a little lost there. He's trying to stick with the that green livery of 074 Legia. Like I said, just coming past Jalma there. So Jalma again really having a hard time this race. I think his head's gone down a little bit at the back there. So it's always difficult to pick yourself up after you've gone through that experience in a race. Jack de Mendez coming up from the back of the grid. Jack currently still picking up 9 points. I mean, it's not a great big fistful of points, but it is still quite a lot of points, considering that points are still awarded all the way down to 15th place. But I think he will be aware, and he will be conscious that this is Linga Bazinga's championship, and that congratulations are going to be in order, whether that be heartfelt and a pat on the back, or via gritted teeth at the end of it. As Jack goes round there, just manages to save it. So great catch from Jack there, and he will pick up a bit of damage there. Is that Immortalis going through on the inside? It is Immortalis just coming to lap him there. But yeah, great catch from Jack there, and unfortunate to just tag the front right hand side. I was going to say driver's side on that, but obviously the Toyota is a central seated vehicle. So on the right hand side they're just taking a little bit of the wall on the inside, and that's going to affect his ability to push her out the way, or get the tyre into actually the left hand corners. So we'll likely upset the balance of the car more. But Immortalis had a great race here today, still pulling away from Bruce in front. 12-second gap. So yeah, 13 seconds is about what I would have expected really from Immortalis, to be honest. So maybe not quite pulling that gap away, but certainly doing a good job here to maintain his position in third. But really the drive of the day, I think, has got to be, for me, Old Smoky, making up so many positions. Certainly made up as many positions as one could hope in any race, coming from near enough the back of the grid there and getting all the way up to 6th place. Bit of damage on the first lap will have helped that, but actually a consistent drive at around about the 140 mark goes to show that you don't have to be the quickest guy, and the fastest lap set here currently at the back of the grid, but the guy's been setting consistently possibly one of the slower laps, not the slowest, but one of the slower laps out on track. He's currently in 6th place here, and doesn't look like he's going to get caught from Murphy behind him in 7th, who was up there setting 137s, I believe, for the best of them, or 60s in qualifying even. So it looks like the tortoise did actually does win out on the her in that scenario, and Old Smoky will probably be taking heaps of lessons learned here from this race going forward. So 074 just making his way past through our S curves there, past Jack. So Jack looking like that damage taking more of a toll here than we initially thought at first, potentially letting 074 lead you through there, and I suspect he's probably going to do the same with Jelma as Jelma continues to close up. The 8 does indeed there, so just moving out of the way at the right section, just on the outside of that corner, knowing knowing that cars are going to run wide there as they start to get the power down. So good thinking there from Jack. So Dirt Diggler currently in 8th place, had some good battles here with Dirt Diggler today. I think Dirt Diggler really, again, he's got that lap time, he's got a bit of consistency. I think for Dirt Diggler, potentially what the issue today here at Sakitto was practice. I know he's been struggling to try and get some time out on track here. From speaking to him, kind of offline in the background, he's been struggling to try and get some time behind the seat of the car, at the wheel of the car. So he's come into this a little unprepared, and I think that maybe has actually impacted his performance and has shown out here in his standings at Sakitto today. But again, not a bad performance here from Dirk. 138 on the timing board, and again, really impressed to see the guys that can make the panels work in the GT1 category. Not an easy car to drive, no assist whatsoever. Murphy, we've not seen a lot of Murphy today. There's been some action, but he's been pretty much keeping himself off the cameras, so he's managed to keep most of the spins that he's evidently had. There's been a couple there, certainly towards the beginning part of this race, so he's managed to stay out of the watchful eye of the commentator here, but he does look like he's had some problems. 137s again, so consistently putting in really good lap times, Murphy, but looks like the front of that car just twitching there as he goes into the section, and actually losing at the same place as Jack. So potentially they might want to have a bit of a conference after this race about where the aero's affecting those cars, to see whether they can get that little problem sorted out between them for their own personal benefits. So 49 seconds remaining before the final checkered flag will be presented here, or the final lap will be announced here. So it will be the last time around here for Lingo Bazinga, and as he comes across the timing line the next time, it is going to be the checkered flag for him. So that will be under checkered flag conditions. So it looks like Lingo Bazinga is going to take first place with a comfortable lead as he comes through our S section up over the hill, and Snelling Bongo just dropping again a little bit further down. Consistent drives, but just not consistently as quick as Linger, and a minor spin in there. I think just or a minor mistake as he was getting further pressured from Linger Bazinga, is probably what's done it here for Snelling Bongo. But another good result, and he'll be happy to see that second place on the podium after a mixed bag of results for him recently. Immortalis, it looks like he's going to come round in 3rd place, and Bruce Law is going to come in behind him 10 seconds again, just sticking with that 10-second gap in 4th place. So podium for Immortalis, and Bruce following up with the fastest panels in 4th. Unless we've got any further mishaps, I would suspect that he's probably going to be how it's going to end up here, as Lingo Bazinga comes through the final corner for the last time on lap 28, and a flash of the lights, and what a great win there from Lingo Bazinga as he secures his first win in the GT1 Championship, or his first GT1 Championship, should I say, in its entirety. So that is a trophy there for Lingo Bazinga, and I'm sure he'll be extremely happy to be able to say that with all the lads. No doubt that will go down in our Hall of Fame, and that'll live in infamy as a winner, as Snelling Bongo comes across the line here. And then again another flash of the lights, and that is a Dutch 1-2. And Immortalis coming through that last quick section there, quick as he can there, little touch to the brakes again as we've got accustomed to seeing. A little bit on the outside there, and again the flash of the lights, and that's a podium spot for Immortalis in 4th spot as he comes across the line. Again, Bruce coming down now through exactly the same section as you see Bruce coming through in 4th spot. A little bit less showboating there for Bruce, as I think he's probably less impressed with his performance there, but still a good result in 4th spot. DJ Leggy will come across the line in 5th, the Old Smoky a little bit behind that, so he's just coming through the that last section, and it looks like he's got Murphy, so Murphy putting on a late manoeuvre here and a storming drive, and just as I've said it, I may as well have not bothered. He goes round, just coming out of that quick corner on 130R there, so looks like Old Smoky's going to get it, and it looks like Murphy's going to have to come in just behind that in 7th spot. Dirt Diggler looks like he's struggled there and isn't going to make it across the line quite in time, so we'll finish a lap down from there, so that is 27 laps for Dirt Diggler in 8th position. All 74 Leggy will come over in 9th spot, and Jack Demenzes, who I said will be gutted about that finish, in 10th spot. Jelmet or Martin, as we call him, again getting fastest lap potentially, and down there in 12th spot. Sorry, 11th spot. So that is it from our GT1 Championship Round 7 here at Sakitto on Thursday evening. It's been an absolutely great race and a very turbulent start to this race, so we will keep you updated next time we come out in the GT1s with how those incident inquiries went. Like I said, it's not the rest of our racing that we've got complete here this week. We've got our Saturday night championship in the LMP2s, and we've got Sunday GT3, so do tune into us on Flux Motorsport TV for those races and for who is going to be potentially our LMP2 winner. And not to forget that we've also got our final race next week at Bathurst, Australia in GT1, so you'll have to make sure that you tune in for that one too. But I've been your host this evening, Lecky2000. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you yet again, and we do hope to see you next week. But from us here at Flux Motorsport, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.